One player on your team that we haven't mentioned yet, but I'd love to ask you about, is the Korean player Sayaplayer, because obviously Gio knows him from his time in Overwatch. I have to say, this guy, low-key, was actually one of my favourite players in Overwatch, mate. And the reason why is, like, he essentially, as far as I can tell, is just what his career story was in Overwatch. He's just the ultimate mercenary. People don't know, he was brought into a team that at the time was all bloody, like, Finnish and Scandinavian. He was a lone Korean. They brought him in, but he played Widowmaker, which essentially, if you're a tactical, he's just the AWPer, essentially. And all he did was, he was what you want your dream AWPer to be in a bad team. He just didn't give a fuck how anyone else played, if they were winning or losing. He just hits his AWP shots, dude. He just hits his shots. All he does, he's like, that's why I say he's like a mercenary, like in the war sense. Like, he's the guy on his like 4th tour of Vietnam who's just there to like, just point me in the direction, tell me what time the helicopter go. Exactly. And then he just goes off, and you don't even ask, was he okay? You just assume he got the 1,000 yards there. He must just be okay at Sayaplayer, right? Who is he in Valorant though, dude? Because now he's in a real team. I mean, I know he's been through the hard times of the fucking T1 experience and that. Who is he now though? It feels like he's finally got a real team.
I think the thing that is different about us is from the very beginning, we have a manager that is fluent in Korean as well and English. Okay. And he was brought in before I was, and then I was brought in by him in management or whatever. So when we first started looking at a Korean player, one of my main goals was, like, no matter what happens between me and our manager, we need to try to include him in as many things, make him feel welcome. Like, if we go to the store, if we go get a drink, just be like, hey, do you want to come? Because, like, I can't imagine living that far away from my home. Like, even though I'm not, like, where I grew up around friends or family or whatever, I'm still, like, a couple-hour plane ride away. Like, I can't imagine going to a different country with a different language than what I primarily speak. So, like, I think the difference for us with him was, like, from day one, we wanted to include him and, like, make him feel comfortable, which I can't speak for T1. I don't know. But it was a very important note for us to make that possible. And I think the good thing about the team is all of them get along. They like each other. Like, they hang out, they do things, and like, because of that, I think Sai has been able to come out of his shell more and, like, be himself, and, like, he does truly feel comfortable in a lot of these situations, and I think it shows with his play. Like, he's a phenomenal player. Like, his mechanical ability, some of the stuff he hits,
that's bonkers, isn't he?
No, it's crazy. And he'll hit a shot, and I'm like, oh my god, Sai, like, how the fuck did you hit that? And he was like, oh, that one was easy. Or, like, he'll miss a shot, and I'm like, Sai, it's okay, that was a tough shot. And he's like, no, like, I should hit that, like, every day of the week. So he's just supremely talented. He is, your poster child for a lot of things, that it's like, he's a Korean esports player. Like, his professionalism, everything like that is top tier. Like, he's very good in a lot of those aspects, and, like, he's, fit in, and, it's been perfect. We're the island of misfit toys over here, and, like, everything just works. So, like, we've done well despite, struggling recently. It's like, we're still on the right track to be a good team.
By the way, he's one of those players where, I don't know if you remember this, Gio, but when Overwatch first began, it was one of those games where people had that stereotype where they said Koreans aren't that good at FPS games. And it's like, he's the sort of player where I'm like, mate, just watch them warm up for like 10 minutes and you will have a very different opinion afterwards. Yes. Like, they're just bonkers. Essentially, they just, the joke is, I wish they all played CSGO. I wish I could just hypnotize everyone in the world to only play CSGO. Because I want these guys in CSGO. I want, like, fucking Jonak. I want all these guys. It'd be amazing.
Jonak in CSGO.
It'd be sick, wouldn't it? Who wouldn't want to see that? Well, I want them all.
It's so cool because I've always talked about, like, Zywu came out of nowhere. Like, Trent has come out of nowhere. Like, these players, I've always said, like, we don't even know who the best player is. One of the best Counter-Strike players of all time might have been a fucking Olympic athlete. And instead of, yes, you never know. So it's like, all these people that they're like, oh no, I'm not going to give this guy a shot until he gets more experience. It's like, you're in fucking Maine, dude. What the fuck do you mean? Like, why would you not take a shot on like one of these players? And, like, I've never understood that, but, like, you see these people come in like Sai, and you're like, oh my god, like, it just, the things he does consistently, like how quick his decision making is and stuff. You're like, holy fuck, like, these guys are, I could never dream to be like on the level of some of these guys, man.
One of the things that we have spoken about before, but it's been spoken about outside of this as well, is the fact that because of Saya's, particularly his experience in the Overwatch League, he has a ton of LAN experience, right? So how is his, I suppose, veteranship in a sense of playing in front of an audience and being on LAN and whatever, how has that, like, affected the rest of the team? Has he kind of been that pillar for some of the rookies to sort of I don't know, like lean on in a sense?
I think a little bit. I think he's very good at managing himself. I think if he was a native English speaker, he would be able to provide more of that, feedback or things to like help more. Like he does really well with it, but like it's hard for him to be like, oh yeah, at LAN, jitters, anything like this, like you're gonna have to be ready for that. Where it's like he's gonna help, but the one thing that's great about Saya is like no matter what, he's taken care of. Like he's on LAN, he's gonna do everything possible for us to win. So like even if the other guys are struggling a little bit, like they're gonna do their best to, he does the best that he can, even if like it's gonna affect his performance to try to help like other people out as well.
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.